What is up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. If y'all don't know who I am, I'm the self-proclaimed FTP god. I'm in 1365 in OG, and we are currently fighting in a big KVK. I'm actually headed out to Panama in a couple hours. I thought I'd record a couple videos for you guys. This video is going to be over my current takes on the meta and what I'm looking at for Rise of Kingdoms as a whole. A lot of new stuff has been coming in, whether that be the new iconic gear changes, whether that be the potential release of Hermann, whether that be LC, new armaments that might be coming out, all that good stuff. And this is gonna be like a quick rundown of some of my current thoughts, some of the questions that I get quite often. I'm gonna try and go through these like a little fast, just to not take up too much of your time, and to try and get just a lot of my frequently asked questions out of there. So first off, I have a few transition videos for coming out of Season of Conquest. I don't think they're necessarily dated, but obviously, you know, just to keep it fresh, tell y'all what I'm thinking right now. To give that some extra context, we have Hermann coming out. By the way, if you guys don't know, I do have a Twitter and Instagram. I have other socials too. You guys can always go to the Discord, or you guys can always go to the description below and follow any socials that you guys are interested in. So over here is Hermann. He's not out yet. He should be out in at most like January. They might delay it till Feb, but I doubt it. Just to go through him real quick, you know, he's got a 3-target AoE for a damage factor of 2000, and anybody hit by it gets poisoned. This is an ability. He's kind of feeling very Joan-esque when we see this. Rage cost 1000, nothing too crazy there. Over here we're seeing, you know, 20% attack, defense, and march speed. The march speed is really important. Found in this meta that marches are just ungodly levels of slow. It's honestly started to take a toll on like how I view Boudica, ZL, probably not Zebu. The ZL Nebuchadnezzar March is still very strong regardless, but like ZL YSG, Boudica YSG, Boudica ZL, especially as I play more in Season of Conquest and like Imperium KDs against like massive players, my opinion of archers is probably just greatly soured because they're just nowhere near as good as the other troop types. Even they're the best they have to offer. Like Zebu is probably one of the best performing archer marches I've seen, and in large part it's just due to Nebuchadnezzar's #1, his extreme damage factor, 5% AoE, and the march speed. I'm almost tempted, like, I think something we would need to see in order to make archers good right now is we would need something similar to wind scars. So infantry has the purple wind scars attachment, which is like I think 11.5% speed for infantry, which is really solid. It's just super hard to run archers right now. I know if you're in like Warriors Unbound and you can make ZLs a secondary to Scipio, I want to say Scipio ZL is like one of the strongest marches in the game, bar none. Like that march is pretty disgusting. But again, that's something you only get by being able to attach it to an infantry. The march speed here is really important. 15%, awesome. If it was like 20, it'd be really crazy. Like this commander would be like the most disgusting meta. I almost think like when you go for armaments, like movement speed should probably be prioritized over attack. I mean, beggars can't be choosers, but like if I want something on the field, for archers especially, I need that movement speed. This commander's troops deal 20% more AoE skill damage when attacking other troops. Cool. When we use an active skill, attacking another troop on the map, it loses 20%. Cool. So this is going to stack with other defense reductions like Nevsky. Awesome. Next, Mandrake Root. Less damage from poison troops. Whenever we launch a basic attack, we have a 10% chance to fire some poison, blah. Whatever. It's cool, I guess. And then as our expertise, we're going to say, once we get 25 stacks of poison on an enemy troop, it triggers Force of the Falling Eagles. Something to note. I want to say Sargon's debuff and Tomirus's debuff are both 3% skill damage taken increases, I believe, just like this poison. I don't know how Sargon's is going to stack with this, just because I know he also has like some kind of poison ability. Another thing here is I know like we've heard like talk about like Hermann Tommy. I don't think that's gonna work. I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense. Also, Tomirus has her ability like eats the poison stacks, so like maybe if you had like a lot of people running Tommy in the field to maybe like stack on, because then you'd get to fire your ability off again, maybe, or maybe it's just gonna like see how many of your attacks have gone through, and so it might get an extra. But like 25 stacks of poison is like a lot. There's a lot of stacks of poison to potentially get another hit. I'd be a little skeptical of how many times Give Me Back My Legions is actually going off. I'd also be skeptical about how good this last skill is. This skill is really good. Germania is really good. His base is really good. 5551 seems fantastic for him. Seems really awesome. So anyway, so quick rundown of him. When we're talking about investment order out of Season of Conquest, it just depends on what you have. For YSG, should you still be investing in him as like a free-to-play or just like anybody pre-Season of Conquest? I think the answer is not no right now, but it's probably coming close to no. I think if I were still to restart, I'd probably still go for YSG, but I don't know if that's necessarily the most optimal for every single player. Maybe it's just for like people who like to chain a lot or people who fight a lot pre-Season of Conquest, right? Like 700 sculptures or like around like 500,000 gems worth of sculpts is kind of a lot. And in Season of Conquest, these commanders are so strong. It's probably completely reasonable to skip YSG. I think it's still okay to go for YSG, right? But this is something you'd have to decide on your own. I don't think there's like a for sure one way or the other. I think it's something where you look at both sides of the coin and then you decide from then. With this context, Hermann ZL, or ZL Hermann is, I'm pretty sure, we will call it like Zerman, the Zerman March. I think ZL Hermann is going to be like the wave for archers, and I think it could be very strong. Hermann could also go with YSG for his AoE synergy. He's definitely not going with Tommy. I don't think that's the move at all. Alex and LC have good synergy. Hermann and Tommy could have synergy, but not as good as like Alex LC. And then, you know, it's being theorized that perhaps like Saladin will have synergy with like whatever next commander comes out. The only thing is like Saladin is like a very generic commander. He doesn't have anything too special about him, whereas Alex had a gimmick, Timbers had a gimmick. Saladin really doesn't have a gimmick. So with this stuff in context, like I think ZL Hermann could be a strong march, but I wouldn't bet on it. And with the way they're still releasing commanders in Season of Conquest, I don't see a huge reason to be just like tossing ZL Hermann as like any kind of first investment at all. I think archers should definitely be invested in, maybe KVK 4 at best, but KVK 3 there's just not a good reason. I think Scipio is still really crazy. If you don't have Nevsky expertise, Scipio 5551 with like LC 5511, or Scipio with like YSG, or Scipio with maybe Mehmed double relic, like all of those are pretty fine. I'd be a little hesitant about using like double relic Mehmed. I mean, it's not that bad if it's like a 5511 Mehmed. It's just the LC 5511 is really good, and Scipio LC is probably the strongest march in the game, bar none right now. So that as a goal is not a bad idea. Scipio 5551, LC 5511 into LC expertise. Something I've found is like most players should probably not be going wide. Even I went wider than I should have gone. Now granted, I am in like the top kingdom in like an S tier KVK against like some of the strongest players like this game has seen, period. You know, when I'm fielding against like one of Mimi's 1 billion accounts with like everything max and expertise and iconic max, and like I understand this is not what most people are going into. Let's just be very careful when you're running a bunch of marches, right? Like if you can run like a 5551 Scipio and like an expertise LC, like that march will teabag your opponents, right? But if you're like splitting up like a whole bunch of marches, if you're splitting up into like 4 marches with like epic gear, you might just get cleaned up, right? And it's not going to do too well for you. So Scipio LC I really like a lot. If you have Minamoto expertise, being able to slap a double relic on it and going like Nevsky 5551 or Nevsky expertise is also really cool. Nevsky Mehmed might be okay as well if you're going cavalry first in a Season of Conquest, but I don't like cavalry first at all. I think infantry first is basically mandatory. You want like Richard and ZL or like Martel and Hera, or Zeno in something like, or Scipio with Theodora, Zeno with Cyrus. Like you want like some kind of like infantry marches for basically all of your chaining marches, and you're going to want to have multiple chaining marches, because if you're on your computer chaining, would you rather chain with 1 march for, I don't know, like 15 hours, or would you rather chain with 5 marches for like 4? You just have to increase your efficiency and just make sure that it's pretty easy for you. And I think one of the easiest ways to do that is by focusing infantry first. I think infantry first is still the meta pretty easily. Scipio LC is the strongest march in the game, probably bar none. But going for like Nevsky Mina is pretty good. And then if you wanted to go like Scipio LC, Nevsky Mina, QB Mehmed, could be like Scipio YSG into LC and something else. Like there's a whole ton of options coming out, but you want to have some combination of like Scipio and Nevsky. I think those are the commanders that you absolutely need right now. I think archers are just super far out of the meta right now. I can't see a ton of value with them without a lot of march speed. Some people give me, you know, they talk about how good march speed is for them, or how good archers are for them. They're like, oh, archers did this and this and this, and they performed this well. I would say take it with a grain of salt, because there are certain places where like archers can do very well, right? So this is a bridge, right? Usually in like higher tier kingdoms, will set their defensive positions around a bridge, right? Because it's really easy to hold, and it's really hard for people to build flags and positions that are going to break a bridge. If you are in like a endgame kingdom and they have a good territory planner, you'll often see a lot of bridge fighting. You're also going to see a lot of massive murder balls. The average player will generally not see these. So if you're in a massive murder ball and you don't have to walk too far forward or too far back, the movement speed on archers doesn't matter too much because you're not generally dropping rage. When I say dropping rage, I mean like if you attack a target and then as that target moves away, you start attacking another target, your rage bar doesn't reset and you can make sure you continuously fire off abilities. However, if the murder ball is small or if there is more movement to and from, you're going to be dropping aggro, which is going to mean that you get like a little mail that, you know, it says like, you know, blank has a victory or blank has finished combat or something like that. Then you'll get your report. Generally, you want to get your reports in as few and far between as humanly possible because that means that your rage is still firing. And when you have abilities such as, when you have stuff like Rejuvenate, your cycle becomes really important. I know, yeah, I should only have 2 out of 3, I don't care, okay? But Scipio's going to fire his primary ability, he gets back Rage Cap for his turn, his secondary fires ability, Rage Cap for that turn, right? Then Scipio gets ability, other guy gets the ability, it's like, right, like once you start your cycle, then you start firing off repeatedly. Right, but this is in large part due to the amount of movement speed that somebody like Scipio LC or Nevsky Joan might have, or like QB Mehmed or QB Joan with like Nevsky Mina. Like all of these marches are going to have a whole ton of movement speed, so being able to go from march to march to march to make sure they're always firing off their ability is going to be pretty easy. On the other hand, a rather slow march like say like Boudica ZL or ZL YSG, these marches are going to be soaking up a ton of AoE because number one, they're not very tanky. They don't have a lot of skill damage resistance unless we're talking about Boudica. And they're also very slow. So they're not going to be firing off as many abilities. They're going to be taking more AoE. And if they get caught out of position, they're just going to die, right? If you catch Nevsky Joan out of position, I'm sorry. If you hit that retreat key on the Nevsky Joan, it's gone. If you hit the retreat key on Scipio LC, it's gone. If you hit the retreat key on something to do with QB, like nobody's catching it, Alex LC is getting away, Guan Scipio is getting away, like these marches are hauling ass, right? The march that is not getting away is going to be like ZL YSG. Even Zebu is probably not going to be outrunning. Boudica YSG, Boudica ZL, like all of these marches, like even like if we look at like older commanders, like a Manitor with like Artemisia or something, like all of these marches are getting absolutely packed out when it comes to trying to retreat from the murder ball or when it tries to like make any kind of tactical retreat. Once these marches are in, if they're going from target to target to target, they can hit like a truck, right? If your opponents are running, you're probably not catching them. And if your opponents are chasing you, you're probably not making it out. I don't like archers right now, as you may have surmised. Hermann could change that. I have ZL expertise. I have Boudica ZL. I don't even use it in this current KVK. I've downsized to 2 marches. Those are Scipio LC and Nevsky Joan. Scipio LC trades obscenely well, large part due to the focus on Smite Commander's damage. It's really important to note that getting these normal damage bonuses in any type of situation like this, whether it be a Gorgo, whether it be an LC, anything that gives normal damage, it allows all facets of your trade to be better. So it's just not it's not just you attacking and when you fire out your ability. If you get caught out of position with LC, your trade is going to be way better if you have a lot more normal damage, whether that be from like Arch Formation or LC or Gorgo or something like that. They just have better overall stats and they take way less skill damage, right? So like when we're talking like big murder balls, right, like we're talking about all of this like skill damage coming out. I mean, we have a ton of health, we have skill damage reduction, we're getting shields, we're getting straight damage reduction, like we're getting a whole ton of stuff out of these commanders that you don't generally find in other ones, and I just find archers to be very lacking because of that. My take on the meta right now, gear wise, I think archer gear, if I were to choose anything, I'd probably choose 222. I don't know if my 222 would include Dragon's Breath with Dragon's Breath plate and gloves. I think it would look something like KVK helm, KVK wep, Kiwei, Ian's Choice, leadership pants and boots. I think maybe you have one set like that and you can have one set of like 6-piece Dragon's Breath. The reason why I want to diversify it is because you want all the extra BPs you have to go to like refining or iconic probably later down the line, and then when you have like a bunch of like pick one choice chests for random bits of these, perhaps you can put that in the Dragon's Breath. The Dragon's Breath, like maybe I'd have a couple pieces, right? Like you don't need that many, but for the 222, that's where you'd be focusing more of your time and energy on. In terms of Cav, Sacred Dominion, I really don't care too much about. I think your Conquest coins are already too limited. Helm Khan is still awesome. Set boots, set chest, Navarro's Control, Ash of the Dawn, totally fine. Ash of the Dawn's probably the last one you pick up here. This set has not changed at all, I don't think. Then when it comes to infantry, I think 4-piece infantry set is still the wave. Just for the movement speed, is just so good. There is probably an argument to be had to have like one set be a 4-piece infantry set and the other set to be like KVK, Helm, Gatekeeper Shield, Hope Cloak. I'm pretty sure there's a non-set set infantry gloves, and I mean you could do like leadership pants and boots. I don't know. I mean like so messy to like start getting like real creative with like your different infantry pieces. Perhaps it'd be like leadership pants and boots. Then you'd have Gatekeeper Shield, KVK Helm, and Cess Brutality, maybe. I'm trying to think of like a way that this wouldn't be like weird and awkward. I think probably the 4-piece set is probably fine. In terms of armaments, I would definitely stay away from arch armaments. Just open everything for wedge, I think. If they release more smite damage, Commander is awesome. It doesn't look like the next couple cycles are going to be smite damage, so why focus on it? Just try and make sure that you have like 2 archer, 2 infantry, 2 cavalry, like pages for armaments, and then you should be all right. Okay, this video went on a little longer than I did. Sure, you guys probably have a bunch more questions, and you guys are always welcome to put them in the comments in the description below, or the comments in the YouTube section. I do read all of them. There are a lot of like good questions on the meta. I try to make like a part 2 to this, hopefully not more than like 15 minutes for like I go over it. The video did go a little longer than I thought. I thought it was gonna be a quick recap, but I guess the meta probably better that I be more thorough for you guys. Anyway, if you guys enjoy content like this, or you guys enjoy videos like this, please drop a like. Please comment. You can comment literally anything, it doesn't matter. Please subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. Please join the Discord in the description below. Follow any kind of the socials. If you guys are interested in private coaching, I do private coaching for $75 a session. I do public coaching for $35 a session. I am in the middle of a very heated KVK right now, so if you're watching this as it's released, are gonna have to wait probably a couple weeks before I start doing coaching again, but I've coached hundreds of clients at this point, so if you are wondering what's going on with your account, you spend like $300 a month or something like that, that's a really good time to get coaching. There's definitely no shame in it. I've coached people from 960, 1093, people who've spent tens of thousands of dollars a month, to people who are free to play. So if you guys are interested in that, be sure to make a ticket in that same Discord. Other than that, guys, if you guys want to help support the stream financially, you guys can always donate to the Streamlabs link in the description below. But most of all, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for showing up, and I will see you guys later. Bye.